Looking back at better times, because it's been a rough few days for LeBron on and off the court. On Wednesday, his home was vandalized. Here's what he had to say about the racial epithet.
So that that racism will always be a part of the world, a part of America, and you know, hate, you know, in America, especially for African American, is living every day.
And then the next day, LeBron became the first player in 50 years to play in 7 consecutive NBA Finals. His quest for a 4th NBA title didn't get off to a great start. As you know, the Warriors blew out his Cavs by 22 points. It was the 7th time in 8 NBA Finals that James' team lost Game 1. However, the focus now shifts to Game 2 tonight. And the Cavs are current 9-point underdogs, which would match the biggest underdog LeBron's ever been in an NBA Finals game. Tip scheduled for just after 8 Eastern on ABC. So let's bring in Jeremy Schaap, fresh off of E60. So thanks for hanging out with us a little bit longer. And of course, our former NBA star Antonio Davis. We saw the video, LeBron being praised. One of the things that stood out from what he said that wasn't in that clip was him saying that no matter how much money you have, being a black person in America is hard. What did you make of how he addressed what happened at his home?
Well, I thought he did a great job, first of all, of not avoiding talking about the issue and using his platform in that moment really just to shed some light. I think players, you know, for so many different reasons, especially in this day and age, there's some fear that comes sometimes with speaking outside of what they know and what they feel. But I was glad that he took a moment to talk about, you know, what's alive and working in this world. And I think he should be the one that brings light. You know, with sons now and with kids that he's going to be raising, it's going to be important that he continues to send that message.
I'm glad you put it that way when you said to not avoid the topic and the question of the circumstance. Jeremy, you've covered athletes forever, and it seems to me that, let's call it over the past 5 to 7 years, and even more recently, that athletes are more willing to speak out on activism and racial issues. What do you believe is the biggest factor in perhaps them changing their tone that they didn't have a decade or so ago?
Well, I think there are a lot of differences. I think part of it is leadership, if you want to put it that way, from a guy like LeBron, who was there with the Trayvon Martin incident, who came out pretty quickly thereafter and made a political statement, made a social justice statement about things that he perceived to be wrong in society. It does have to do with social media as well. You know, in the past, athletes would have to wait for a sports writer to ask them about these questions. And sometimes, you know, no one would ask, wouldn't think it was the right thing to do. Why are we bringing this stuff from the world at large into the locker room in the clubhouse? Now you're sitting there on your phone or whatever, and you're looking at your feed and you're seeing everybody else saying something. And if you don't say something yourself, you feel as if you are abdicating your leadership position.
Let me pose it this way. Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of Muhammad Ali's death. And we saw him. He was noted for his activism. We didn't see it much with someone like Tiger Woods. We didn't see it much with someone like Michael Jordan. In this case, with a player of LeBron James' stature, do you believe, and either of you can answer this, do you believe it just takes one athlete with a significant amount of power to start the conversation again?
You know, not just a guy like LeBron, like you say, with that kind of power. It's doing it the right way also. You can't just go out there and take a stance without understanding why or having a great purpose. He could have taken a different approach to his house being vandalized and, you know, been angry about it and just start spurting out at the mouth. But I think to bring light to a situation in a positive way and just saying it's there, it should be addressed as something we have to do.
But is there a balance, though, Antonio, between being reactionary and being proactive, right? Like,
Sure.
Colin Kaepernick took a lot of criticism for doing something that seemed to be more proactive. This was reactive by LeBron James. Do you feel like players feel worried or scared to kind of be at the forefront of this, as opposed to reacting to something that was so clearly wrong?
To me, the bigger you are, the bigger your stage is to me, the more risk you can take with standing for something. You know what I mean? If LeBron decides to stand for something that comes off the wrong way, or the business is hurt a little bit, what are you going to do? He's LeBron.
Right. Sure.
He's part of this business. You may tell him there's a way that we need to partner and get this message out. At the end of the day, he can do it. If somebody else, not as good as LeBron, can be taken from the equation or pushed aside, then I think it's pretty tough. It's a fearful thing to go out and start speaking against something and then have your boss to say, hey, that's not the way we.
And that's a great point and great perspective from both of you. You take LeBron James, the basketball player, he's putting that brand aside to speak on something bigger, and you never know how people are going to react when that happens.
Steph did it too.
Yes, he did.
Steph said so.
Gentlemen, we appreciate you spending time with us this morning.